Love this move. The Chicago Bears assigned defensive tackle Grady Jarrett to a 3-year contract worth $43.5 million with $28.5 million fully guaranteed. What's going on, guys? I'm back with the Chicago Bears free agency news update video, and Ryan Poles keeps on beefing up the trenches. I'm so happy that he is finally doing what the entire fan base has been begging for him to do since the beginning of his time with the Chicago Bears. And obviously I understand he had to do a full rebuild, so he couldn't fix all areas of the team all at once. But this offseason, he's investing all of the resources into the offensive and defensive lines. Grady Jarrett just got released earlier today by the Falcons. He's a former All-Pro player, a really solid defensive tackle that I did not even think was going to be available. Okay, the Falcons cut him because of cap troubles, and he is one of the best Atlanta Falcons over the past decade. So he is getting older. He's 31 years old, but he stayed pretty healthy, knock on wood, during his NFL career. He's super durable and just a premium player on the defensive line. I mean, the Bears have lacked these types of veteran players on the D-line and the offensive line for the past couple seasons. I mean, I'm sure Ryan Poles, sitting up in his booth, saw the Bears get dominated in the trenches on both sides of the football, and he decided this offseason he's finally had enough. Okay, he's investing big time money into veteran players that are proven to already be good in the NFL. And Dennis Allen is going to love this move. He saw a lot of Grady Jarrett while he was coaching with the New Orleans Saints because the Falcons were in the Saints division, so he coached against him. Well, at least on defense, he saw Grady Jarrett coach against his offense 2 times per year. And as a defensive coach, I'm sure he really appreciated how dominant of a football player Grady Jarrett is and was, back then. And he's not really slowing down, guys. Like, he's still at a pretty solid 2024, even though he's getting up there in age. So I don't think the Bears are going to, regret this contract, because at the very worst, he's going to be a pretty solid NFL player, and at the very best, he could give you some flashes of what he's been in the past for the Atlanta Falcons, a truly dominant game wrecker on the interior of a defensive line. And the best part now is that the Bears have guys they can rotate on the interior of the defensive line. They already have Gervon Dexter, hopefully taking another jump in year 3. They have Andrew Billings, who's been a pretty solid football player. So the fact that we have other guys we can rotate now, and we don't have to rely on Zach Pickens, who's been a horrible NFL player, is a big move for the Chicago Bears. Like, I knew they had to make some type of investment on the interior of the defensive line, not just at edge, but also at defensive tackle, because our depth was not good enough, guys. And like in the NFL, you need multiple guys that can rotate in and out, and rotating in and out is going to keep Grady Jarrett fresh as he gets older. Okay, it's going to be age 32 next season. So the fact that he doesn't have to play every single snap is a big deal. And a guy like Gervon Dexter is going to learn a lot from an older veteran like this. Really lacked the top end veteran players the past couple seasons to mentor our young players, but now we're slowly adding them. So even though we're still going to draft some more young defensive linemen, offensive linemen, we have veterans to teach them how it's done. I mean, that's how the best organizations do it. That's what the Packers do. That's what the Philadelphia Eagles especially do. Okay, the Eagles have had so much talent on the offensive and defensive line, veteran talent, but they still draft O-line and D-line high every single season because they realize that football is won in the trenches. And it seems like Ryan Poles has realized that too, with all the investments he's making in the trenches this offseason. But let's talk more about what Grady Jarrett is going to bring to the Chicago Bears. So Grady Jarrett, coming out of Clemson, was a very athletic prospect. Now, this testing was done in 2015. That's 10 years ago. So he's clearly not the same level of athlete he was back then, but he's still a pretty solid NFL athlete. If you watch his film last year, like, there's still a lot of juice in him, even though he played a lot on that Falcons defensive line. He didn't really rotate as much as other defensive tackles. So playing with the Chicago Bears, having the ability to rotate more is going to keep him even more fresh. And if you look at his stats, guys, so obviously defensive tackles don't generate a huge amount of sacks per year. I mean, that's why they're defensive tackles, but he's had some pretty good sack producing seasons as well. Okay, 2018, he had 6 sacks. 2019 was his best season. He had 7.5 sacks. Made the All-Pro team. 2020, he had 4 sacks. Also made a Pro Bowl that year. And then 2022, he had 6 sacks. Pretty solid season for him. Last couple seasons, the sack production has not been as high, but 2023, he got injured. And last year, he did have 2.5 sacks. 53 total tackles. And if you look at his PFF grades, I mean, he was pretty good last year in terms of getting pressure on the quarterback. He had 34 total pressures, pretty good for a DT. And you guys can see his PFF grades every single year during his career. 2017 to 2020 was definitely the prime of his career, where he was at his full best as a true dominant game wrecker on the inside. Maybe he's not that at this point, but he's still a pretty good player, pretty great player at times too. And for Chicago Bears defensive line that's lacked that depth, I mean, Grady Jarrett is still going to provide so much juice, so much potential to the Chicago Bears defensive line. He's going to be a better run defender than we have had. Zach Pickens was a horrible run defender and a horrible pass rusher in general. I mean, Grady Jarrett, in terms of comparing him to Zach Pickens, is like obviously 100 times better, and he is going to start on this defensive line because of his age, because of his veteran experience. But I think the three guys we have on the inside are going to be rotating a lot because we have three pretty solid players. I mean, Gervon Dexter is young, but he's shown a lot of upside, especially as a pass rusher, so he's going to have to get his snaps. Andrew Billings has been so dominant as a run defender, but also in terms of getting pressure, he's been pretty good. Last year when he went out for the season, the Bears D-line completely collapsed, so he has to get his playing time too. And Grady Jarrett has been an all-pro player for the Atlanta Falcons and like one of their best defensive line players over the past decade. So it's just good to have like an embarrassment of riches now on the inside of the defensive line. We can still add more players too. Like, don't get me wrong, the Bears should still draft another DT, I feel like, because Zach Pickens is not an NFL caliber player. I mean, that was a horrible pick by Ryan Poles in the 3rd round, but regardless, I'm happy that he doesn't double down on bad mistakes and he's giving a big contract to somebody that has been so good at the NFL level. You need veteran talent to win a Super Bowl, guys. Like, obviously, at the NFL level, you need veteran talent to win a Super Bowl, guys. I mean, honestly, the Bears have been too young over the past couple seasons because we have been building via the NFL draft and not really investing a whole lot of money in free agency. But if you truly want to start winning football games right now, at some point you do have to invest big time money in the trenches and other spots too and get proven solid players. I mean, the Bears did that with Kevin Byard last season, and Kevin Byard, even though he was older, was one of the best players on the Chicago Bears defense. So paying these older guys, although it is risky sometimes because they can decline, they can get injured due to old age, oftentimes it is worth it because they bring a lot of experience to your team, they bring a lot of mentoring ability, and they bring proven production too that, you know, at the very worst is going to give you a solid, pretty good player on your football team. And on the defensive line, that is a big asset to the Chicago Bears with how horrible their D-line has been over the past couple seasons. I mean, there was only an 8-game stretch in 2023 where the Bears D-line was playing pretty good, but aside from that, we lacked the depth. We didn't have enough juice in terms of interior pressure. Our edges also sucked. So adding Deo Odengbo, adding Grady Jarrett is going to help a lot. And also the acquisitions we're going to make in the NFL draft are going to help too. I mean, some people forget we have 4 picks in the top 72. Like, we still have a lot more picks to help out both the offensive and defensive lines. So I'm just so excited, guys, that Ryan Poles is taking this shit seriously. Like, he's investing big time money now because he realizes the Bears have to start winning games right now. And you can do that by adding proven veteran talent like a Grady Jarrett. So really, really happy about this signing, guys. And although it is a little bit pricey, you know, with his age, I think it is a fair contract with how much the cap has exploded based on what he's done in the past. And the fact that he raises the floor of the Bears defensive line so much. I mean, the floor with Zach Pickens rotating in was pretty bad. Okay, if we suffered an injury again to Gervon Dexter or Andrew Billings, God forbid, that would really suck because we lack the depth. But now we do have that depth, you know, with a guy like Grady Jarrett. Let me know what you guys think about the signing down below in the comments. Personally, I'm very happy. I really wanted Ryan Poles to invest big time in the trenches this offseason, and he's listening to me. For the first time ever, the Chicago Bears are doing everything I asked them to do this offseason. They hired Ben Johnson, the best coach on the marketplace. They're beefing up the offensive line with proven good interior offensive line talent. They're beefing up the defensive line too. The only thing I wish happened was signing Khalil Mack instead of Deo Odengbo, but Khalil Mack decided to go back to Los Angeles, so nothing we could have done there. So, you know, overall, guys, I'm just like really happy with how the Bears offseason is unfolding. There's still a lot more moves to come. We still need a receiver number 3 on this team. We still need maybe another tight end. We could use another safety. We could use a running back for sure, which is that going to be Ashton Genty? Who knows? Okay, at this point, the Bears have invested a lot in both the offensive and defensive line. So if they did want to go Ashton Genty, they could justify it a lot more than before this free agency period, right? I mean, now if you look at the starters on both offensive and defensive line, I feel like they're pretty much set. So if you do draft anybody, like maybe you draft a left tackle in the draft, but at the same time, like Armin Membu has never played left tackle. He's only played right tackle. And Will Campbell, his arms are pretty short. So I'm not sure if NFL evaluators view him as a left tackle, in the NFL draft. So it is going to be interesting to see if the Bears, if they don't draft Ashton Genty, are they even going to get a starter at pick number 10 with how much talent they have now on this football team? Who knows? But that's a good problem to have. This is the problem that teams like the Eagles have, where they have so much talent on their team that the drafted player in the first round doesn't even play oftentimes during his rookie season. So exciting time to be a Bears fan, guys. Like, I can't wait until next season starts already. It's many months away, but I cannot wait until September rolls around. Leave your comments down below, guys. As always, bear down.